The 9th year of entanglement with Leo. His mistress stormed into my birthday party, declaring their true love and demanding that I grant them a divorce so they could be together. Leo watched coldly, waiting for me to clean up the mess caused by his disobedient lover, just as I always had. But that day I suddenly felt tired of it all. I stood up and gave him a faint smile. "I'm going to get some fresh air in the garden." Leo didn't think much of it, assuming I went out to cry in private as usual. But 1 hour passed, then 2, then 3, and I never returned. He finally went looking for me in the garden. All he found was a burnt-out cigarette and a ring. He knew I wasn't coming back. Chapter 01, Year 5 of Marriage. By the 5th year of our marriage, Leo had taken in a delicate and enchanting ballet dancer. Her name was Sandra. I heard that the first time Leo saw Sandra, he was captivated by her graceful elegance, her movements, as ethereal as a fairy dancing under the moonlight. He kept her hidden away, treating her like a treasure, too precious to be seen by anyone including me. But now Sandra had come to me of her own accord. Her eyes were red, filled with accusations as she looked at me. "Leo doesn't love you anymore. The one he loves now is me. Don't you think it's cruel and unreasonable to keep him tied to you through marriage? Leo and I are truly in love. Please grant us a divorce and let us be together." She cried pitifully, like a tragic heroine whose happiness was being obstructed by a wicked villain me. I found it laughable. True love, you fell in love with another woman's husband. Don't you find that disgraceful? Sandra's face turned pale, but in the next moment she cried even harder, looking even more pitiful. "Yes, you're right. Falling for a married man is disgraceful, and I deserve your scorn. But love itself isn't wrong. I just want to be with the man I love forever. I really love Leo. I don't want to leave him. Can't you just let us be together?" Her words were absurd and naive, but Leo found her charming and fearless. He wiped away her tears tenderly and coaxed her in a gentle, "All right, stop crying. I'll stay with you tonight." The room fell silent. He trampled on my dignity to defend Sandra. This was a kind of affection he had never shown his previous lovers. In the past, other women had come to me demanding I leave. When Leo found out, he made sure those women suffered. He had warned everyone, "Miranda is my wife. No one is allowed to provoke her." But today Sandra ruined my birthday. And instead of punishing her, Leo indulged her. After instructing his secretary to escort Sandra home, he walked up to me and spoke in a low, "Don't worry, I won't let her act out again. So don't lay a hand on her," he was warning me. I didn't respond right away. Leo frowned slightly, his gaze icy. "Miranda, Sandra is young and doesn't know better." He even made excuses for her. "I understand, don't worry." I interrupted, nodding in agreement. Leo's expression softened. He reached out to take my hand, but I instinctively pulled away. His face darkened with displeasure, but I only smiled at him and said, "I'm going to the garden to get some fresh air." Leo nodded. "Come back soon, we'll cut the cake together." "Okay," I turned and left, his eyes fixed on my back, but I didn't look back. Not even once. Chapter 02. I stepped out of the banquet hall and into the drizzle. I lit a cigarette. Through the swirling smoke, for some reason, I suddenly recalled the day Leo proposed to me. It seemed to be raining that day too. We met when we were 3 years old, fell in love at 16. And at 23, when Leo's business took off, and he earned his first fortune, he proposed to Miranda. "Will you marry me?" That day he knelt in front of me, his hands trembling so much that he couldn't hold the ring properly. I lowered my eyes to look at him and asked just one question. "Will you love me forever?" Without hesitation he swore. Always I believed him. I believed he meant it at the time. But feelings change so easily. At 27, Leo started seeing a younger, prettier woman. When I found out, he knelt before me, crying and begging me not to divorce him, promising he would change. But once there's a first time, there will always be a second, a third, and a fourth. Now he doesn't even bother to hide it anymore. And I don't bother to make a scene. I've fought enough, I've seen enough. Like with Sandra, Leo treats her differently. For her, he warned and threatened me 3 years ago. Such a scene would have left me shattered and sobbing. But now I only feel tired and disgusted. Because I know better than anyone that Leo will never divorce me. For Sandra, it has nothing to do with love. Our years of marriage have created too many ties, too many shared interests. Divorce would be messy and offer him no benefits. He won't do it, and he's certain I won't either. After all, I've brought up divorce more than once over the years. But it always ended inconclusively. At first it was because of love. Later it was because of pride. But no matter the reason, after so many years of enduring this, I should have been used to it by now. Yet this time I suddenly felt done. I didn't want to keep playing along. The ash fell from my cigarette. It burned my fingertips, making me flinch. Just then a waiter approached me and whispered, "Madam, the boss says it's time for you to return and cut the cake." Return, I snapped back to reality. After a brief pause, I extinguished the cigarette and smiled faintly. "Tell Leo I'm not coming back." Chapter 03. The waiter relayed Miranda's words to Leo. Leo's expression darkened. The others quickly tried to console him. "Madam is probably just in a bad mood. Women throw little tantrums sometimes, boss. You should let it slide. Women need to be coaxed. Boss, why don't you go and cheer her up?" Hearing this, Leo wavered. He and Miranda had known each other since childhood. No one understood better than him how deeply Miranda loved him. Today he had asked Miranda to be lenient with Sandra and to coax Sandra into leaving. He had promised to spend the night with her. He shouldn't have said that. It was Miranda's birthday. He should have stayed by her side tonight. He had made a mistake. With that thought, Leo turned to the waiter. Was she crying? Miranda had always been a crybaby. She cried when she was sad, cried when she was happy, and even cried over tragic TV dramas, often losing sleep over them. She was sensitive and fragile. She must have been upset by his words earlier, and had used the excuse of getting fresh air to go outside and cry. In private, Leo felt a pang of guilt. Miranda was his wife, and today was her birthday. He shouldn't have embarrassed her because of Sandra. He owed her an apology. But just as he was thinking this, the waiter shook his head no. Madam looked very happy and radiant. Leo frowned, slightly surprised by the answer. But after a moment, his expression turned cold, and his voice was as frigid as ice. Then what's her problem? She's acting like a child. If she doesn't want to come back, so be it. The guests exchanged uneasy glances, but dared not intervene further. They could only wait. 1 hour passed, then 2, then 3. Still Miranda did not return to the banquet hall. Leo's expression grew colder. He stood and headed to the garden. A wealthy wife, throwing a tantrum and leaving over a mistress. How immature and undignified. She had made herself the subject of gossip. When he saw her, he would definitely reprimand her. But when he arrived, the garden was already empty. The sound of rain filled the air. Near a trash bin, there was only a burnt-out cigarette and a ring. Leo's heart clenched. It was the silver ring he had used to propose to her. Over the years, he had gifted Miranda countless pieces of jewelry. Yet she cherished that simple silver ring the most, treating it like a treasure. But now she had carelessly tossed it into the trash. She didn't want it anymore. At that moment, the wind picked up, carrying the rain and soaking through Leo's shirt. He felt cold to the bone. Yet his mind had never been clearer. Miranda wasn't coming back. Chapter 04. When I returned to the villa, the first thing I did was contact my lawyer. The lawyer, experienced and professional, quickly went over the division of assets with me. After all, this wasn't the first time he'd helped me prepare for a divorce. Although the previous attempts always ended inconclusively. But this time was different. I was serious, focused. I didn't know how much time had passed when my phone rang. It was Leo. He had likely realized that I had left early. without informing him, leaving him embarrassed in front of the guests. He sounded a little annoyed when I picked up Miranda. "What exactly are you trying to do?" I gestured for the lawyer to pause. Then with a calm voice, I replied I want a divorce. There was a brief silence on the other end of the line. When Leo spoke again, his tone had softened because of Sandra. I didn't respond, thinking he had guessed the reason. Leo seemed relieved. His voice took on a coaxing. "Miranda, she ruined your birthday. That was her fault. You have every right to be upset. I'll have her come over and apologize to you right now." At this point, he still thought I was acting out because of Sandra. Yet he wasn't willing to cut ties with her. I found it a little ridiculous. I let out a faint chuckle and interrupted him, my voice steady and calm. "Leo, this has nothing to do with anyone else." "Then why I want a divorce?" "Because I don't love you anymore. Leo, the road ahead is long. I just won't be walking it with you anymore." The words felt like a weight lifted off my shoulders. There was a touch of melancholy. But more than that, there was a sense of relief and freedom. Leo was silent for a moment. On the other end, I could hear the faint tapping of his fingers against the table, a sign that he was deep in thought. When he finally spoke, his voice was low and heavy. "What are you trying to pull this time?" Chapter 05. He still thought I was just throwing a tantrum. It was a familiar scenario. Every time I caught him cheating, after every fight and every tearful confrontation, he would look at me with that same exhausted and indifferent expression, his eyes filled with confusion. And he would, over the years, my money and shares in the company have all been in your hands. Those women were nothing more than meaningless flings. No one could ever threaten your position. You will always be my wife, Mrs. Leo. Whatever you want, whatever you wish to buy, you can have it immediately. Look around at the women near you. So many of them are struggling just to make ends meet. Their annual salaries don't even match the starting price of one of your rings. Miranda, what exactly are you upset about? What more do you want? Yes. What more could I possibly want? A life of luxury and privilege. So many people envied me. Even my father, after beating Leo severely, eventually softened and tried to persuade me let it go. He said, "Pretend you don't know, make it work. Love doesn't hold a candle to financial security." I understood the logic, but I just couldn't accept it. I couldn't accept that childhood, sweethearts and partners, through hardships, would end up in a hollow, loveless marriage. I couldn't accept that. Love would decay into resentment and indifference. So I cried, I fought, and I brought up divorce over and over, hoping to provoke his regret and win back his love. But all I achieved was turning lovers into enemies. Love so intense it breeds hatred. Hatred so consuming it breeds death wishes. I never used to believe that saying. But in those darkest moments, I did. Leo, you probably won't believe this, but there was a time I wanted to kill you, and then kill myself. I thought my words would horrify him, but instead he asked, "So why didn't you?" I froze, then I let out a soft laugh. My voice was light as I. "Because that day you called me sweetie." Chapter 06. Sweetie, a cherished treasure. My mother passed away early, and my father raised me alone. He gave me a nickname, Sweetie. When Leo learned about it, he started calling me that too. And he called me that for many, many years. When we were young, he would hold my hand as we ran through the fields to school, turning back to smile at me. "Sweetie, hurry up or we'll be late." On our wedding night, he kissed my forehead, his fingertips trembling. "Sweetie, I love you." The day my father died, he held me tightly in his arms, whispering over and over, "Sweetie, you're not an orphan. From now on you have me, don't be afraid." Back then he loved me the most. But somewhere along the way, he stopped calling me Sweetie. Instead it became Miranda, just Miranda. I thought I had long forgotten that nickname. Until that night, when I got him drunk and pressed my hands around his neck, tightening my grip bit by bit. He opened his drunken, hazy eyes. He saw my tear-streaked face, and instead of panicking about his tied-up hands, he frowned and asked, "Baby, why are you crying?" Did someone bully you? I froze. He was drunk. He didn't remember betraying me, hurting me. He only remembered loving me and hating to see me cry. So when I told him it was him who had hurt me, Leo panicked immediately. He looked up at me, his voice full of guilt. I'm sorry, sweetie, I was wrong. Hit me if you want. But tomorrow, let me take you out for roasted sweet potatoes, okay? When I was young, I loved roasted sweet potatoes from the stall at the village entrance. But I could never bring myself to buy them. Leo always saved up money to buy them for me. And whenever I offered him a bite, he would refuse. Only if I forced it on him would he finally take a bite. We were poor then, but we loved each other the most. Whenever he made me angry, he'd stare at me with pitiful eyes, like a puppy afraid of losing its owner, just like he did that night. And I spinelessly gave in. I let go of his neck and untied the ropes. As his anxious voice called out behind me, I walked out the door, climbed to the rooftop, and looked down. I thought that if I couldn't kill Leo, then maybe I should just end my own life. But as soon as that thought crossed my mind aloud, piercing sounds split the night. I turned toward the noise. Fireworks burst one after another in the sky before me. Red, blue, pink, brilliant. Beautiful, lighting up half the sky. A breathtaking sight. Now, as I look out through the window at the dark night sky, where there are no fireworks, I speak softly and gently. At that moment, I suddenly didn't want to die anymore. I even felt relieved that I hadn't killed you. Otherwise, I would never have seen such beautiful fireworks again. Leo stayed silent for a long time. On the other end of the call, I thought he was shocked by my past madness. But after a while he suddenly asked, "Do you still want to kill me?" His tone was serious. So I thought for a moment, and answered him just as seriously, "No, you're not worth it." Chapter 07. Leo refused to agree to the divorce. It had nothing to do with love. After so many years of marriage, our interests had become deeply entangled. Divorce would be a major upheaval for him, financially and legally. The division of assets would even impact the company's IPO. Aside from regaining his single status, there was no benefit in it for him. Leo was an excellent businessman. He never did anything that wasn't in his best interest. So he chose to ignore it. Just like he had ignored my past outbursts. This time he ignored my request, as well as the divorce agreement, and the asset division documents sent by my lawyer. I had no intention of fighting with him. I simply told my lawyer to inform Leo that, if he refused to settle amicably, I would take him to court. Then I packed my things and left Beijing. Right before the plane took off, I received a message from Miranda. "You know, this is the most critical time for the company's IPO. Do you really have to do this now after all these years? Do we really have to end it like this?" I thought for a moment, and yes, we do. Chapter 08. The plane's destination was Iceland. At the meeting point of the Atlantic and Arctic Oceans, I stayed in a seaside town, where I could see the ocean just by opening the window. Heading further south, surrounded by green fields, I saw the red house from the ITIS charts. I realized then it actually existed.